We are back yet again on another episode of the thiccmaninc sort of podcast, and surprise, surprise, we've got another tier list. We know what content gets views. And this week, we will be rating all the quarterbacks going into the 2022 season who maybe starts, excluding the rookies, because frankly, it is unfair to rank them if we have seen absolutely zero NFL film. So, starting things off, we have the controversial, but not nearly as controversial as the other Browns quarterback, Baker Mayfield. And I'm going to put Baker Mayfield in the functional starter camp. He has shown flashes of being very good, but at the same time, the previous season, with the injuries to the offensive personnel, not just him, he did not look great. But I think Baker Mayfield can be a starter. He has proven he can be a starter who wins you a playoff game. So he's going right in functional starter.
Well, if he had another 2 years on his career at this point and we could time travel to the future, I do think he is trending more towards bridge quarterback than he is trending towards Super Bowl level quarterback and someone who can help you win a Super Bowl. I think he's trending more down than he is up. But because he's only been in the league for 4 seasons now, he's entering his 5th year. He's shown flashes. He's also shown flashes of being a bad quarterback. I don't think we can put him any lower than functional starter up to this point.
We will just have to wait and see how Mr. Mayfield makes his own outside of Cleveland. Next up, we've got the great, or formerly great, Cam Newton. And Mr. Newton would be in the top 5 pick category. He's not a particularly good quarterback, but due to his comments about women and the recent series of interviews he has been going on, he is going right into Roger Goodell's doghouse. Now, he will have some company there very soon, but until Cam Newton stops hopping on podcasts like this one, he's going to remain right there.
Well, his ego does seem to be constantly through the roof on, I don't know the name of the podcast, so that's on me, but he keeps calling himself a top, he's like, I'm one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL. He never just lets his play do the talking or goes out and just puts out good tape. His mouth is too big at this point, and
This is coming from one of his biggest defenders of the past, Carson Wentz. Now, Carson Wentz used to be Super Bowl level. I feel like he had some very good years there with
Isaiah's saying nice things about Wentz.
Fallen to the point where I don't even think I'd consider him a functional starter. You look what the Colts did with him last season. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL. They couldn't make the playoffs. They lost the last 2 games, including a loss in Clowntown. And now he's been brought in for a short-term deal with the with the football team. So I think Carson Wentz right now is a bridge quarterback. That's how he's being used by teams around the league.
He's not quite as bad as a top 5 pick. There are some top 5 pick worthy plays from his film last season, especially some of those interceptions that are highly questionable where he just refuses to let a play die and then hands the ball over to the other team. So I don't think he's that bad. He hasn't been that bad, and I think he's good enough to get you even out of the top 10 picks, and I think he's going to win some games with the Commanders this season.
Next up, we've got Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott is either the highest functional starter or the lowest Super Bowl level. But because he's a Cowboy, and I hate their fans, he will be the highest functional starter. He has had some bad playoff moments in his admittedly short career, but he will stuff the stat sheet in the regular season. He will get you from point A to point B. He will maybe even get you to the playoffs, but right now I can't quite see him as a Super Bowl level quarterback.
Cowboys fans want him to be a Super Bowl level quarterback, and I think he has Super Bowl level quarterback potential. The only problem is that he doesn't perform in the playoffs. He's won 1 playoff game. Other than that, it hasn't been all that great, and he only puts up numbers in the regular season and then also wilts in some other really big moments. So he's a functional starter. He's not close to our bombastic ballers, and I don't think he can really win a Super Bowl. He hasn't, in a weak NFC, he hasn't proven that he can bring the Cowboys to the next level.
And he certainly cannot. And when the roster goes down, I bet his quality of play will also go down. Next up, Daniel Jones, no argument here, top 5 pick. Because he got the Giants a top 5 pick.
Well, this season, because the fact that new general manager and front office has made some actually smart decisions and they've improved the roster at some of their weakest spots, maybe it'll be a top 6 pick or top 7 pick. I don't know if it'll. I don't know if it'll wind up being. Hey, it wasn't a top 5 pick. What are you talking? Or no?
They had the 5th overall pick, you clown.
Oh yeah, they did, and then the Bears was the 7th one. Never mind.
Yeah, get out of here. Now we got old Davis
Mills.
And look, I think Davis Mills is going to be a really good quarterback in the long term. He did a lot with very little. There's an argument made he was the best, or certainly the second best rookie quarterback performer of last season. And he was going up against Mac Jones, who was in an infinitely better system. I think he could creep into the low end of Super Bowl level quarterback as his career progresses. Right now, I cannot put him above Dak Prescott, but I certainly can put him above Baker Mayfield.
He's too young to be considered a bridge quarterback at this point in his career, and there's not enough tape for any of the guys that were rookies last season to put them extremely high on this list. So he has to go into functional starter, and I guess we can put him above Baker. I mean, I don't know if...
You can be a hater as much as you want. Next up, we've got Derek Carr, and Derek Carr to me is the lowest end of Super Bowl level quarterback. He's better than Dak Prescott, but not much. He's had quite a few clutch drives, which really separates him from the field, even if he doesn't have the raw numbers many of his contemporaries do, although he can stuff the stat sheet a little bit himself, so he'll be the first Super Bowl level quarterback on the list.
Well, I don't need, like, him and Dak feel like they're on a very similar level as far as talent goes. But he has had more clutch moments. He beat the Chargers in order to get the Raiders to the playoffs. He had a season in which he would have been the MVP most likely, but then he broke his leg. So I think he's capable of leading the Raiders to a Super Bowl, also just due to how good the pieces he has on offense finally are.
All right, no disagreement there. Slightly better than Dak Prescott. Next up, we got old A.A. Ron, and right now, he is in the Bombastic Baller, so he's the first Bombastic Baller. He may fluctuate depending on how the season goes. He is currently dating a witch, per some sources. Blue of the Earth is her name, allegedly. So that might wind him up in Goodell's doghouse. I'm unsure about the relationship there. Sorcery is most likely frowned upon by the Shield, but until that happens, he's a Bombastic Baller.
I mean, coming off, 2 MVP seasons in a row?
Admittedly, there was not an impressive MVP season, but...
There was some other players that had arguments for the award. He's obviously a Super Bowl level quarterback, but he's, you can't put him anywhere else right now.
Not an NFC Championship level quarterback, though.
That is true. If that was a tier, he wouldn't belong.
No. Next up, we've got Deshaun Watson. And, this feels too mean to Cam Newton, so you know what? Hold on. Add row below. And we're going to title this one, Jail. Not prison yet, because we don't know if he's going to prison, but Deshaun Watson should...
He likely won't go to prison. But...
Likely not. What color should I go with? Nice pink for him. Right where he belongs. Alright, next up, we've got Drew Lock, and... I think Drew Lock is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. Top 5 picks. No. But he is...
How are you going to say... No.
He is going to guide.
As much as I hate Daniel Jones, Drew Lock has shown less flashes of, that
he doesn't
leap
run
down
in
the
straight
field
lines
speed.
3 times a season. Yeah, that's the only good thing Daniel Jones. He is a better passer than Daniel Jones.
No, he's not. He's got a lower completion percentage.
Do you really want to get an argument over this?
Yes.
They're bad quarterbacks.
They're going to get their team's top 5 picks. But if we're going to say who's worse, who's less talented, it is definitely Drew Lock.
Speaking of someone who got his team a top 5 pick, Minshew was on some very bad Jaguars teams, and I feel bad the way his career is gone. I'm going to put him at the high end of bridge quarterback because he showed very quality levels of play in the Jaguar system as a young player with just nothing around him talent-wise on the offensive skill positions and the offensive line. But we just don't have enough tape. But I think he'd be a better bridge quarterback than Carl Wentz.
Well, I think he's a quarterback that can... I don't know who I'd put above as far as between those two, but comparing him to the top 5 picks and Daniel Jones, who's also in his same draft class, I think he's more capable of being a stable starter for a franchise that can go out, win you some games, much like Taylor Heineke did for Washington last season, even though Washington wasn't all that great. I think he's a quarterback that while you're rebuilding, he can go and win games and make you at least competitive.
I'd say a little bit more competitive. After all, he's got the mullet, got the mustache, Minshew mania. Next up, we've got Jacoby Brissett, a fellow Floridian, at least in this current picture. But Jacoby is in a rough spot. On one hand, he has had some serviceable years as an NFL starter, so I put him at bridge quarterback. On the other hand, he is decidedly a backup right now, so I can't really justify putting him higher.
I think they signed him to be a starter because the Browns know after the way they disrespected Baker, he's never going to play for them again. And they know Deshaun Watson isn't going to be their starter this season because he's likely is going to be suspended for the entirety. And
Hey, man,
I got to
they
give
looked
Jacoby
up Deshaun Watson highlights. They did their research.
I got to give Jacoby more respect, and I think he belongs in the bridge quarterback.
You're going to fight for the bridge quarterback?
Yes, I'm fighting for Jacoby in the bridge quarterback. I think he belongs.
Fine. I will concede that at the moment. So you're going to be unhappy about this one. Jalen Hurts has a supreme level of upside. He's got a strong arm and he's a tremendous athlete. And year 3 is where players really take that step. So I think Jalen Hurts, much like I predicted Josh Allen would be a game-changing quarterback a few years back before he really took his step, Jalen Hurts is going to step onto a similar level as Derek Carr.
Josh Allen is the only feather you have in your cap when it comes to quarterback predictions.
Yeah, because I don't talk about
and when it comes to predictions in general. Now,
you are a stooge and a clown, Tristan. We will go look back at every single prediction TikTok you've made and laugh at your follies if you want to do that. We got 40 minutes, a little bit less now we've been recording, but we can have a Tristan Kilgannon cold take session if you want.
If we're placing Dak Prescott in functional starter, Jalen Hurts also has to be a functional starter, because even though the Eagles roster and their depth chart has drastically improved compared to last season with adding A.J. Brown, their running back room will hopefully be healthy. They have a very good tight end. They actually have 2 functional receivers for once. So he's going to be a functional starter within that offense that is probably going to win the division because the NFC East is terrible. But I don't think if we're tiering quarterbacks, he belongs in the Super Bowl level tier.
This is a prediction for the coming season, Mr. Gannon. That's why I've got him there. I agree with you. He should definitely be in the functional starter if we were going solely off the past, but I have a tremendous amount of optimism for the young Mr. Hurts. I think he is going to be on that level after this next year.
I gotta stop letting you control these.
Hey, you got Jacoby Brissett, I got Jalen Hurts. Next up, Jameis Winston, no debate, bombastic baller. Not much for conversation there. Keeping it moving. Okay. Jared Goff.
Jail.
No. Jared Goff is better than I'd say. Oh, God, it's tough because he's either a very high-end bridge quarterback or you're taking the fact that even if it was in Sean McVay's offense,
he did get a top 5 pick.
He did, in fact, start a Super Bowl.
He also got his team a top 5 pick last season.
There are plenty of options. Like, he could go in any of these tiers. Where do you want to put him? Because right now,
if we're going based off your if we're going off of your explanation for Jalen Hurts and how you just explained him, you're talking about next season. I do think the Lions roster has much improved compared to what it was last year. And I think just due to the fact that he got his team a top 5 pick last season, if we're looking ahead to this season, it's a little bit better. I think he belongs in the bridge quarterback section to get them to their next quarterback, whoever that may be, whether another massive trade, big free agency signing, or top pick in the draft.
It's probably going to be a top pick. We know the lines. So I hope ACDC, MCDC, whatever his name is, Motor City Dan Campbell, does not get fired. But it's a real possibility if they win 3 games this year. He's a bridge quarterback for that organization. And speaking of bridge quarterbacks, we've got Jimmy Garoppolo. And while Jimmy Garoppolo was definitely a functional starter last season, his shoulder looks like it might be toast. So I'm going to use that to drop him into the bridge quarterback tier. I don't think he's going to go out there and
he needs to be a few lower, I think, even at this point, just due to his injury and how that's looking.
I will not put him below Minch out of respect for his massive jawline. Handsome fellow, but I will put him below Goff. He is a bridge quarterback for whatever team signs him, and that is why no one went out and signed him. He is still a Niner because no one is taking a risk with that injury.
Now, Joe Burrow is a functional starter.
And he's borderline. He might be a bridge core. He's getting the Bengals to whoever they have next. They'll find some. No. We cannot upset the Bengals faithful as much as we have been doing. He is a Super Bowl level quarterback. He started a Super Bowl. Didn't play amazing in a Super Bowl. Got sacked a whole bunch. So, hey, but here he is.
Didn't win the game, so I guess he's not good enough to be Super Bowl level if he made it to the Super Bowl and he didn't win. You know, he's not good enough to win one.
I mean, Derek Carr has never won a Super Bowl, and Jameis Winston, Bombastic Baller, no one is disputing that placement, but he's never been in a Super Bowl either. But right now, he's the highest level Super Bowl quarterback we've got on here. Next up, Josh Allen. I'd put Josh above A.A. Rod at this point in his career. Better athlete, stronger arm, opens the game up more for his offense, going to be around longer, and this does look like the year he's actually going to get to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs got worse, the AFC is extremely loaded, but the Bills got much, much better, and he's still going to put up MVP numbers, regardless of who is around him. But when you factor in the Gabriel Davises, the Dalvin Cook 2.0s, and of course the Stephon Dixes, you gotta assume he's putting up at least bare minimum 4,500 yards in the air and about 600 plus on the ground, like 28 touchdowns, I'd say, in the first 2 weeks, personally.
When you take into consideration that his boogeyman in Patrick Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill, the best receiver on his team, and the Chiefs roster is not looking quite as complete as the Bills roster, there are no excuses for Josh Allen to not make it to the Super Bowl this season. And then I'm sure Bills fans will say, but the AFC is so loaded. It is the Bills year, and if they aren't able to do it this season, I don't know when they're going to be able to do it. So we might even have to bump Josh Allen down a tier after the season if he's unable to make it to the big game.
Yeah, so you hate Josh Allen because Bills fans call you
I don't
a clown.
hate Josh Allen.
I think you hate Josh Allen because you got called a clown a few times. It happens. Everyone gets called a clown. Everyone joins a circus, yada, yada, yada. Now, do you know who this is, Tristan?
It's Justin Fields.
It is Justin Fields. Or as I like to call him, Bustin' Fields. But it is awkward because I do believe in my heart of hearts the Bears will get a top 5 pick this year. I don't think you disagree with that either. But they've got such a massive amount of dead cap space. They can't bring in any free agents and they're 53 over. But next season, he's going to be a very good quarterback. If I had another tier, I gotta squeeze another one in here, it'd be the Enigma tier, because Justin Fields right now is an enigma.
Yeah, but we're rating the quarterbacks. We're not rating the tiers. I know.
And Justin Fields did not look good at all.
We're not rating the team.
Season.
Sorry, he showed very bright flashes in a Matt Nagy offense that was abysmal. Some of the worst play calling that we've ever seen. They had 5-man protections against blitzes, and their offensive line was one of the worst in the NFL. So I think just due to the limited games we have from Justin Fields, at the bare minimum, he has to go in functional starter along with
You're
Davis
a
Mills.
clown.
You're the clown.
If you watched
here.
any Bears game, set through, watched them all the instead of the YouTube highlights, you would realize that Justin Fields looked like a really bad quarterback last season. Earned his team the 7th overall pick. Now,
Most of his bad plays were due to Matt Nagy's bad play calling.
Yeah, I don't know. He's had some pretty horrible reads. You know, I will slide Justin Fields back down here just because we don't know where to put him yet. Now, we know where to put this guy. And the question is he going to be a bombastic baller or is he going to be a Super Bowl level quarterback? The only reason
to make the playoffs.
I'm not going to put him in bombastic baller is because he has not made the playoffs. So thank you for stealing my thunder on that, Tristan, you absolute clown. But I imagine he's going to be the highest member of the Super Bowl level quarterbacks. And he may very well slide up to bombastic baller. I might even slide Aaron down later on. But currently, Justin Herbert resides in the Super Bowl level quarterback. If he gets to the playoffs ever, he is going to be an absolute weapon. But until then, we just don't know if he's a baller.
Well, I think I would probably toss him in bombastic baller because last season he was let down greatly by his defense game after game. Their run defense was absolutely abysmal. If they have any run defense, they're probably able to beat the Raiders, and they're the ones who go to the playoffs. They had their offense is one of the best in the NFL. It was one of the top 5 in points and I believe yards per game, led by Justin Herbert. So just due to that fact, I think he needs to go a tier above. But then again, you're controlling this and you disagree with everything I say.
Yes, cry about the placement all you want. You're the one who said he didn't make the playoffs, not me.
I was just throwing that out there, but that doesn't mean I think he should be penalized for it.
Now, my question for you is, in the past, when Phillip Rivers was leading the league in passing yards, but couldn't quite get his team over time, was choking in the playoffs or falling short, did you think that guy, Phillip Rivers, deserved to be in bombastic ballers tier?
Well, Phillip Rivers obviously wasn't good as Eli, but...
Well, I mean, Phillip Rivers was in fact better than Eli, but he didn't have an all-time defense carrying him.
No, that's just not true.
Yeah, it's okay to be wrong.
It's okay to be wrong.
But something we are going to be right about... Kirk Cousins. Now, what do we want to do with Kirk? Because the logical thing to do would be stick him in functional star, probably above these two guys. But at the same time, he's a bridge quarterback. He will never lead you to the playoffs. He will never lead you to a winning season.
So he's a long-term bridge quarterback.
He is the Golden Gate bridge quarterback.
He's what you want if you just want your team to be okay, competitive, more competitive than if Carson Wentz or Gardner Minshew are leading the way. But, I mean, if we're putting Baker Mayfield in functional starter, it feels disrespectful to put Kirk Cousins
Good.
in
I
bridge
want to
quarterback.
disrespect Kirk Cousins. I don't care that he won the playoff game. I've had to watch so many Kirk Cousins disaster classes that I will not be sliding him. I'll put him behind Baker, but I'm not putting him above Baker.
You know, I think Kirk's going to be upset when he sees this.
Yeah, Kirk's going to be all torn up about it. All right, so what do we want to do with little Kyler Murray? Because if we're going the first 8 games, he is Super Bowl level quarterback. Probably.
If we're going the first 8 games, he's a bombastic baller. He's that good.
The last 8 games,
but if we're going the last 8 games, he's bottom of bridge. He's bottom of functional starter. So I think that averages out to either bottom end of Super Bowl level or top end of functional starter, in my opinion.
He's better than Dak Prescott. I'll put him there. I'm okay with Dak Prescott being the gatekeeper to Super Bowl level quarterback. Now, if he refuses to play, holds out, demands an extension, yada, 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 X, Y, and Z, he will get knocked down to functional starter because we don't like holdouts. But until then, till he actually doesn't show up week 1, he is going to be a Super Bowl level quarterback. Next up, we got Lamar Jackson. I'm going to very comfortably.
He's a bombastic baller.
He's not a bombastic
baller. My. You
think he's better than Justin Herbert.
I think last season is not an accurate depiction due to his injuries and other injuries on his team of how good he actually is.
Indeed, it's not. He is a top 10 quarterback. He's maybe a top 5 quarterback. Maybe.
Can we please put Jameis Winston in his actual tier?
No, we can't, because Jameis Winston is a bombastic baller, and you're going to have to sit there and deal with it. Jameis Winston is a real NFL quarterback. He beat Aaron Rodgers the one time I played against him, dominated the opponents, winning record with that terrible Saints roster before he got hurt. And when he comes back, NFC South's going to get a whole lot tired. Tom Brady might consider going back into retirement after he returns. If you want to put him in bombastic baller, I am fine with doing that, but you are not going to be able to complain when I put someone above him. Because I got 2 more bombastic ballers in the works, and you're not going to like one. All right, next up, Mac Jones. Right now,
right below Dak Prescott.
Right below Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I agree. We don't need to waste time on that.
Boring guy. Where do we want to put Mariota?
I think Mariota, since we haven't seen him play in so long, so it's kind of hard to properly assess how good he is at this point. I think he probably belongs right above Jacoby, but we've seen Jacoby play more. So I think just because we haven't seen him play.
He did win a playoff game by himself, though. That was a long time ago, but it still happened.
I think he probably belongs below. I don't know.
Below Minshew. I ain't putting him below Wentz. I don't like Wentz anymore.
Okay. You're talking very highly of Wentz earlier.
I was saying he used to be Super Bowl level, but something has not worked out. Mason Rudolph. I want to put him in jail.
Why do we even have Rudolph on this list?
So I can put him next to Deshaun Watson where he belongs.
What did he do?
I believe Myles Garrett's allegations. We will leave it at that. But look at that face. Look at that greasy hair. Look at his lack of headband. You know he did something. You know he put some pills and some drinks at a frat party.
So where are we tossing Matt Ryan?
Old Matty Ice. That's a good question. I think he's
functional still?
He was not good last season. He was 20 touchdowns.
He's got to go above Goff, I think.
Yeah, but I'm not putting him at bridge core. Well, I want to put him at bridge quarterback, though, because every time the Colts sign a quarterback, it winds up being a bridge quarterback.
Exactly.
So until he sticks around Indianapolis for longer than 1 season, he's going in the bridge quarterback tier.
So where's Stafford going?
Above Joe Burrow, because
he's not a bombastic baller either?
Do you really think he is better than Justin Herbert?
He just won a Super Bowl.
Yes, but no one's going to dispute the fact that Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes are better than him. No one is going to argue that. He also had Mr. Triple Crown on his team, had a very solid running back, very solid backfield once that offensive line got clicking, and of course,
I'm really bothered by Jameis being in the bombastic ballers.
Oh man, you're just going to have to get over. Do you have trouble seeing a black man succeed, Tristan? Is that the issue? Is an African American?
You're the one who's just hating on Lamar Jackson.
Number one, he is in bombastic bar, but is a number 1 quarterback in the league being African American bother you that much? Because if so, I'm not changing it. Anywho, Mitchell Trubisky. I'm gonna say high end bridge quarterback because he was a Pro Bowler, which means I would put him in functional starter. But we just don't know. He was a victim of that Bears offense, like you complain about Justin Fields being.
I think he can be a functional starter, but I'd probably toss him in bridge, I guess.
Until proven otherwise. Then again, he's got an accolade no one else here besides Dak Prescott does, which is an MVP award, so I'm putting him in the same tier as his fellow MVP. That is very good logic. You have to admit. All right, Patrick Mahomes. He is going above Josh Allen. Until Allen wins a ring, I'm going to keep giving the nod to Mahomes.
Until Allen beats him in the playoffs.
Nah. He should have beat him in last year's playoffs. We don't need to talk about the coin flip, though.
I'm sorry I'm sorry the Bills are bad at guessing the coin flip.
It was Josh Allen who guessed the coin flip, so if you want to criticize him, go for it. Although it was like 9-0 prior to that coin flip guess. So mathematically speaking, he was kind of overdue for a wrong one. Anywho, it's Patrick Mahomes. We don't need to say anything else. I'm tempted to move him above Jameis, but haven't seen enough yet. All right, next up, we've got the great Russell Wilson. I'd put him above Stafford, honestly.
Really? Belongs below Burrow right now.
You think he belongs below Burrow? You were the one saying don't judge last season because Lamar Jackson due to his injuries and the injuries around him. But you want me to put Russell Wilson, Super Bowl
You're the one who says
Russell
he's
Wilson.
never been a top 5 quarterback and he's drastically overrated. And now you're advocating for him?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gotta be one more. 6, 7,
You've said in the
8.
past he's not a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, that was to upset the Seahawks fans. You said the same thing. All right. I will digress. Because he has not won a Super Bowl recently, he will go in between these two.
All right.
Does that make you happier?
I think he belongs one lower, but that's just me.
You think he belongs right here?
No, below Burrow.
You are the one saying put Burrow and Bridge quarterback.
I was joking!
Sure. I bet you think Ryan Fitzpatrick is still in the league too, don't you stooge? This tier list is outdated. Who put this together? I did not put it together. I got template edited. Come on, man. You think I went through the every
Who the heck is that?
Headshots? You
Is
don't
that
know?
Tannehill?
That's Tannehill, bro.
Okay. I couldn't see. Calm down.
On
At this
one
point,
hand,
Tannehill may be a top 5 pick carried by Derrick Henry.
on one hand, he is at an all-time high level of slander. On the other, he did get the Titans to the 1 seed without Henry the Pack 9 games. So you do have to consider that. Like, they were the 1 seed despite losing their best offensive player. So I'm going to put him in functional starter. I'll put him above Baker. I'll put him above Davis, too.
He was abysmal last season.
He was abysmal in last season's playoffs.
Last season in general, he wasn't good. What Titans games were you watching?
I'm just saying, he guided this team to the 1 seed. The defense helped. The offensive line helped a little bit.
All right.
He is still a functional starter. Playing in the Titans offense does not lend itself to putting up big numbers unless you are a running back. Next
Darnold,
up,
top 5 pick.
Bottom of top 5 pick.
He's okay, yeah.
He is knocking on the door to Goodell's doghouse, frankly. Just due to abysmal play alone.
Is that Heineke?
I think that is Heineken Light. So he's also going in top 5 pick. Where do we want to put him? Well,
I think he's better.
He's better than all these schmucks, and he played decently in that one playoff game. So do we want to put him bridge quarterback?
Yeah, I'd put him above Jacoby. Yeah.
I feel like I'm underrating Carson Wentz, but at the same time, I just can't be bothered to move him.
Is that Hill?
I think that is our cook pal Taysom Hill.
Top 5 pick. I think he's also a top 5 pick when he's playing quarterback.
No. When he's playing tight end, though, he's a bombastic baller. But right now, if he's a quarterback, top 5 pick. All right, keeping it moving.
Gino? No, that's Teddy.
You racist.
I'm sorry.
Teddy Bridgewater, as everyone refers to him, Teddy Bridge quarterback.
Teddy Two Gloves.
Look, I'll move Matty Ice up there because I think Teddy's the high end of Bridge quarterback, and Matt Ryan's better than him, so... Here we are.
I think you're being a little bit generous to old Matty Ice.
I am. His jersey is not updated on this tier list, unfortunately. All right. Tom Brady's a bombastic baller, and he's better than Lamar Jackson.
I'm fine with that.
You can't really dispute that one.
I'm fine with it.
He was a secondary blowing a Cooper Cup coverage away from going to another Super Bowl. He is a very good football player. Now, Trevor Lawrence, on upside, I'd move him higher, but I'd be a hypocrite if I did because he was a top 5 pick level player. Granted, you can say what you want about Nagy. He was undoubtedly in a worse coaching situation than Justin Fields last season. So he is also getting thrown back in with Justin just because we have no idea.
We may have to add another tier post this whole thing just for them. We have no idea. The we have no idea tier.
Oh, God, look at that is. That's
Tua.
No, this is Trey Lance. Yeah, Trey Lance is going to that tier too. Based off how I'm doing this, I think Tua is going to be a functional starter next season with the combination of the new offense, which actually is welcoming to him.
Yes. I think we've Davis Mills a little bit too high on functional starter.
I'm seeing that too. I'll slide him down below. I'll just do this too.
I think that's a good order there.
Frankly, I think he's going to be better than Tannehill. If we're just going off.
Then Tannehill I think Tannehill also has to go below Kirk.
If you want to move him below Kirk, fine. People are not going to like me saying that old Tua is going to be better than Teddy.
And Kirk, you mean?
Maybe not the Teddy part too. I think some people think Teddy's going to start, but definitely over Kirk, yeah.
And we got, who's
Tyrod
that?
Taylor.
Tyrod?
Where do you
He's on
want
the
this
Giants.
Top 5 pick. We'll see. If you want to talk about running a straight line, he's faster than Daniel Jones, so...
He's more agile than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones might be faster in a straight line, though.
And, Zach Wilson, we're making a new tier.
Make it the we have no idea tier. Because when it comes to Justin Fields, when it comes to Lance, when it comes to Zach Wilson, when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, we have seen immense flashes. We have seen that there can be even superstars in the NFL. Trey Lance has had some incredible throws. Justin Fields has some beautiful deep balls. Trevor Lawrence has shown an incredible ability to avoid pressure in the pocket. And Zach Wilson, well, I'm not his biggest fan. He's had some flashes as well. So I think they belong in. We just have no idea.
Of the teams that are listed, the Jaguars, the Bears, the Jets, and the 49ers, obviously if Lance does wind up starting, he's in the best situation. But after that, I think Zach Wilson gets the edge in terms of overall situation. He's right there with Trevor Lawrence, and Fields has by far the worst situation next season. But then again, the front office is actually behind Justin Fields.
No, I think Bridge needs to go above there. Bridge goes above no clue. Because objectively, all of them were worse than Bridge at least like definitely Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson were worse than Bridge quarterbacks last season. We didn't see enough of Trey Lance.
Anyway, that has been the tier list. You may agree, you may disagree, but let me assure you, your opinion matters to someone, just not us. That being said, leave a comment. Tell us what you think down in the video below. It helps the interaction. Like, share, subscribe, send it to your grandma, send it to your grandpa. Get the video out there. You are all tremendously appreciated, and we will see you in the next video.
Peace.